Thank you very much, everybody, for joining my meeting. So today I'm going to talk about a very interesting subject. It's called Talk to the gohonzon. Now, we always pray to the gohonzon, but we never know that, well, maybe some of you do because I've talked about it before, but a lot of us don't know that we can actually talk to the gohonzon. So at the very beginning of my practice, a senior member told me, she said, "Lydia, you like to think and use your brain a lot, and you think too much. Why don't you talk to the gohonzon instead of using your brain?" She said, "The gohonzon will have superior wisdom. Whatever you think about, you can never match with the wisdom of the gohonzon. And the gohonzon will answer all your questions." So I asked her, "How does the gohonzon answer my questions?" She said, "The gohonzon doesn't talk, but he will, in a way, give you, in a lot of ways, give you a lot of answers. For example, if you ask a question, sometimes somebody will talk to you and give you the answer. For example, a lot of times I got lost when I'm traveling or I'm trying to find somewhere that I want to visit, but I don't know where to go. So a lot of times I will ask somebody next to me, and then all of a sudden a passerby will tell me, "Hey, this is where you want to go." It happened to me a lot of times. My partner, the person next to me, might not know the answer, but somebody passing by will give me the answer. So it's very, very interesting. Yeah, the gohonzon will answer your questions in a lot of ways, either by somebody talking to you and giving you the answer, or by your coming across an article that gives you the inspiration. Or you may even come across a TV program that will give you the answer. Another example I can give you. A long, long time ago, I met a friend whom I didn't think I liked to be friends with. And then one day, I was sitting at my desk, working, and then my radio was turned on. And then the DJ in the radio said, "Well, your first impression of someone might not be correct. Give yourself a chance and give the other person a chance to know each other better." So that already got me inspired. So if we ask the gohonzon a question, please open your eyes and with an open mind and heart, listen, and you will get the answers. Since then, I've learned to talk to the gohonzon whenever I have problems or questions or goals I want to achieve, and I always get the right answers. Now, you can talk to the gohonzon anytime, anywhere. You don't have to face the put it down and face the gohonzon, the scroll, to pray. Because the gohonzon is everywhere, it's within yourself. You just have to ask anytime, anywhere, and you get help. Now, another example as to how we get the answer from the gohonzon. When Kevin came to Sydney to continue his uni studies, we didn't know which uni was best for him. So I chanted that uni will have the best atmosphere, the best teachers and fellow students, that this school will bring out Kevin's potential, that he will be very encouraged and interested in his studies, and he will do well. After chanting and after praying to the gohonzon, we applied to different unis, being UNSW, all the popular schools, UTS, and Macquarie. Macquarie was Kevin's last choice. Kevin wanted to go to UTS, but the first reply he received was from UTS, rejecting his application. He failed in his application. Well, we were kind of desperate and disappointed. Then the second letter came from Macquarie Uni accepting his application. Well, immediately, we were afraid that he would not have any schools to go to, so immediately we accepted the offer and we paid the school fees, and then Kevin went into Macquarie. In the second year of his studies, Kevin told me that he really liked Macquarie. It's got the best atmosphere and the subject he enjoyed, and the professors and guys are very nice to him. And he did quite well. And he passed with a distinction and 2 credits. And at the end of his course, he took a creative arts course. He painted 5 paintings and on demonstration, on display, and then somebody offered $500 to buy his paintings. And Kevin was so innocent, he said, no, $500 is too much. I only need $300. That's my dear Kevin. Well, that is how the gohonzon answer our prayers, not by words, but by actual situations and circumstances that are best for our needs. Well, we must not be prejudiced, though, thinking that the answer was not what we want. For example, Macquarie was not what we want, because we don't know what is best for us at that time, but the gohonzon knows. So please accept the arrangements from the gohonzon with appreciation and gratitude, although on the surface they don't seem to be what you want or to be your liking. For example, if you like an apple, you chanted for an apple, and then you got an orange instead, but you said, I don't like oranges, but you don't know that you are coming down with a cold, and the orange, the vitamin C in the orange is exactly what you need. So when you chant and when it comes to that, the answer is not exactly what you need. Please accept it with gratitude, because we don't know. Alright, below I'm sharing with you an example of a conversation with the gohonzon by a member. Okay, let me share with you this conversation from the gohonzon. The gohonzon said, hello, did you call me? The member said, called you? No. Who is this? Gohonzon said, this is the gohonzon. I heard your prayers, so I thought we will chat. Member said, I do pray. This makes me feel good. I'm actually busy now. I'm in the midst of something. Gohonzon said, what are you busy at? Ants are busy too. Member, don't know, but I can't find free time. Life has become hectic. It's rush hour all the time. Gohonzon said, sure, activity gets you busy, but productivity gets you results. Activity consumes time. Productivity frees it. Member, I understand, but I still can't figure out. By the way, I was not expecting you to buzz me on instant messages. Gohonzon said, well, I wanted to resolve your fight for time by giving you some clarity. In this net era, NET, I wanted to reach you through the medium you are comfortable with, i.e. messaging. Member, tell me, why has life become complicated now? Gohonzon said, stop analyzing life. Just live it. And analysis is what makes it complicated. Now I have to stop here, because I think I've told everybody that there was a member I met in Sydney, and she liked to analyze everything. This is why she could not go forward. She was always complaining and she could not solve a situation. But I didn't know that she was analyzing until I told Chloe about the situation, and Chloe told me, yeah, she's trying to analyze. And that rings the bell. If you try to analyze a mystic law, you are bound to fail. How can we analyze a superior wisdom, like the power of the universe or life? You're bound to fail, because your wisdom at that moment, if you haven't got to the Buddhahood stage, your wisdom, your knowledge and experience is very limited, and you're trying to analyze something beyond your means. You're sure to get very confused, and then you are not going to succeed. Instead of analyzing, just use your faith. I think up to this time, this member has still not progressed, and I think she is turning to some other religion. She is always encountering the same problem that she is always having. Okay, let me go on. The gohonzon said, stop analyzing. Now this is very important. Please do not analyze the mystic law. because even scientists cannot analyze the power and the mystic of the universe. Okay, the member said, why are we then constantly unhappy? The gohonzon said, you are worrying because you are analyzing. Worrying has become your habit. This is why you are not happy. Member, but how can we not worry when there is so much uncertainty? Gohonzon said, uncertainty is inevitable, but worrying is optional. Well, here I have to say, Here I have to mention that at the very beginning of my practice, my daughter got when she was even a teenager, she always had stomach ulcer and she bleeded all the time. But after I started chanting, at one time her bleeding was so heavy that she lost half of her blood. So the member took me to the hospital, and I told her I'm worried, and she scolded me. She said, "Why do you worry? If you worry, which means that you have no faith. But if you have faith, you don't have to worry." So this is what I've learned from her. So the gohonzon said, uncertainty is inevitable, but worrying is optional. Remember, but then there's so much pain due to uncertainty. Gohonzon said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Remember, if suffering is optional, why do good people always suffer? Gohonzon said, diamond cannot be polished without friction. Gold cannot be purified without fire. Good people go through trials, but they don't suffer. With that experience, their life becomes better, but not bitter. Remember, you mean to say such experience is useful? Gohonzon said, yes. In every term, experience is a hard teacher. She gives the test first and the lessons afterwards. Remember, but still, why should we go through such tests? Why can't we be free from problems? Now again, I have to add my own experience. Long time ago, I was going through very, very, very hard time because of a failed relationship. And then I was talking to the senior member who taught me a lot of practical practical way to practice this Buddhism. She said, Lydia, this guy has come to teach you a lesson. And as soon as you learn, the lesson will not be there anymore. So, if you are suffering, maybe this suffering is teaching you a lesson. And another senior member told me, she said, whenever a problem comes, she'll ask the gohonzon, now, what do you want to teach me? So with this attitude, your problem will not be a suffering. It will just be a learning process. Okay, the gohonzon said, problems are purposeful roadblocks, offering beneficial lessons to enhance mental strength. Inner strength comes from struggle and endurance, not when you are free from problems. Remember, frankly, in the midst of so many problems, we don't know where we are heading. Gohonzon, if you look outside, you will not know where you are heading. Look inside. Looking inside, your dream. Looking inside, you awaken. Eyes provide sight. Heart provides insight. Remember, sometimes not succeeding fast seems to hurt more than moving in the right direction. What should I do? Gohonzon says, success is a measure as decided by others. Satisfaction is a measure decided by you. Knowing the road ahead is more satisfying. You work with the compass. Let others work with the clock. Remember, in tough times, how do you stay motivated? Gohonzon, always look at how far you have come rather than how far you have to go. Always count your blessings, not what you are missing. Remember, what surprises you about people? Gohonzon said, when they suffer, they ask, why me? When they prosper, they never ask, why me? Member, sometimes I ask, who am I? Why am I here? I can't get the answer. Now, this is my son. For a long, long time, he always asks, who am I? Who am I? But I think he stopped that question because he's doing very well now and he's very sure about himself. So the gohonzon said, seek not to find who you are, but to determine who you want to be. Create it. Create the life that you want to have. Life is not a process of discovery, but a process of creation. Remember, how can I get the best out of life? The gohonzon said, face your past without regret. Handle your present with confidence. Prepare for the future without fear. Remember, one last question. Sometimes I feel my prayers are not answered. The gohonzon said, there are no prayers that are not answered. But at times, the answer is no. Okay, again, I quote another experience. I told a lot of people about this experience many times. A member in Hong Kong, he was in the interior design business, and he chanted, it's a big project, he chanted to get this project, and he was going to go to the client to sign the contract, but when he was there, the client declined, refused to give him the project, and the member was in pain, always crying. I've chanted so much, why am I not getting this project? Why? The answer is no. But he didn't know that 1 month later, the cost of timber from Thailand had tripled. So if he had signed the contract, he would go broke. Because once you committed to a price, you cannot raise the price. And if the cost of the material went up triple times, you'll get broke. So this is the blessing. But the blessing comes from the answer, no. The member said, thank you for this wonderful chat. Gohonzon said, well, keep the faith and drop the fear, F-E-A-R. Don't believe in your doubts and don't doubt your beliefs. Life is a mystery to solve, but not a problem to solve. Trust me, life is wonderful if you know how to live. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but the moments that take our breath away. Remember, gohonzon is in our inner soul, and gohonzon is the power within. It is your true self. Believe that all powers are within ourselves. So let me go on to the next topic. It's called the building that looks down on airplanes. When you don't feel like doing gongyo or daimoku, get on a green train in Tokyo that circles downtown and look out for the Sunshine Building near K Station. That was built by someone who did not skip gongyo and daimoku for 30 years. Once, there was a man who was so completely down and out that he has made up his mind to commit suicide. He was in doubt to his years. His wife was blind, and his child had problems. But before he died, he wanted to have one last meal of his favorite dish, a vegetable stew called oden. As he was walking around town in the evening shadows, looking for a stew shop, he noticed a warm, gentle glow of lanterns coming from a place tucked in a corner. There were a number of people milling about. So he said, a stew shop. He delightedly walked over there. As he entered and made his way through the small crowd, he realized he had made a mistake. It was a lecture. When he asked a person nearby, he was told that the speaker was a Mr. Toda. After listening, the man demanded of Mr. Toba, if this Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is so powerful, will my financial problems be solved? Will my wife see? Will my children's problems be solved? Mr. Toda replied, Don't be ridiculous. If all he did were petty things like that, I wouldn't be doing this. Your financial problems will be solved. Your wife will be able to see, and your child's problems will be resolved. Not only that, you will become a wealthy man. You will build a building that even looks down on airplanes. Do morning and evening gongyo, and chant Daimoku every day. Not because the man believed any of it, but because he was moved by the powerful conviction Mr. Toda had. He began to practice. Although it was difficult at first, he faithfully followed Mr. Toda's instructions. He did not skip gongyo. He did morning and evening gongyo and chanted 1.5 hours of Daimoku every day. Since then, sure enough, results began to happen. His financial problems were solved. His wife was no longer blind. His child no longer had such problems. The man even became vice president of a board in his company, even though he was not well educated. He became wealthy. His child became active in the youth division. Things exceeded his expectations. At the mark of practicing 30 years, he was seen standing on the top of a building, mumbling through tears. The man was standing on the top of a skyscraper that he had built. It all became true. This building even looks down on airplanes after 30 years. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Soka Gakkai. It wasn't many years later that the man passed away in his 80s, leaving a legacy of consistent practice. But before he did, he often pointed to the skyscraper and said, This shows the power of Daimoku. I'm here to say it. So please, do morning and evening gongyo and chant Daimoku without fail. So when you don't feel like doing gongyo or chanting Daimoku, take a look at the Sunshine Building. It is still there. This is another article, another paragraph about win by chanting. A woman visited the Kansai headquarters, seeking Sensei's guidance. She waited for his return. In another instance, President Ikeda told us the following story about the time he visited a district women's leader who was in a predicament. Determined to chant 1 million Daimoku if you have a wish. It will be fulfilled without fail, as long as your child and financial difficulties still bother you. President Ikeda encouraged her despite his fatigue. Don't cry so much. Tears harm your pretty face. The gohonzon will never betray you. You will be happy without fail. No matter how much pain you are in right now, your prayers will be definitely answered. Chant 10,000 Daimoku every day. Let's pray together. Develop your courage and practice this Buddhism, which involves faith, practice, and study. Don't worry. I'll pray for you too. Keep chanting. It's important to chant Daimoku to fulfill your wish. Now, again, talking about myself, a long time ago, when I was in Sydney, I went for a checkup, a gynae checkup, and the doctor, the specialist, just removed a very small cyst. And then after that, I bleeded, and the bleeding was so confused, was so heavy, that I was taken to the hospital for a surgery. I was taken to the operation theater. I was taken down, and then the next morning, and the doctor came and said, yes, I've stopped the bleeding, and there are 3 more polyps, but I didn't want to remove them because of the bleeding. So afterwards, I think she kind of used some kind of burning to stop the wound. And then when I got out of the hospital, 5 days later, I began to bleed again. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, this is normal. You'll bleed another 5 weeks, I think she said, and it will stop. So at that time, I think it's ridiculous because my son was born 10 pounds and I only bleeded 1 week. So how can a small wound like that make me bleed for 5 weeks? So I was kind of very disillusioned, very discouraged, very unhappy. But at that time, a member from Sydney told me, she said, Lydia, you have to chant and chant and chant until your bleeding stops. And this is what I did. But of course, after chanting on top of that, I did try to encourage a member's daughter. And then the day after I shakabukud, my bleeding stopped. So this is the kind of spirit we need to have. If you want your wish to be fulfilled, chant and chant and chant and chant until you get your results. Okay, let me go on. On another occasion, President Ikeda told a youth member while they were traveling in a taxi, in Tokyo, I rarely take taxis because I walk. If I walk, I can chant Daimoku on the way. President Ikeda taught members to win by chanting Daimoku. The next topic. How do I help those closest to me see the value of my Buddhist practice? I think I've talked about this in our Chinese meeting, but let me repeat it in today's English meeting. Despite our best efforts, it can be difficult to convey to our closest family members and friends the great value we derive from practicing Nichiren Buddhism. Countless SGI members, including SGI President Ikeda, have grappled with this problem. During his first U.S. visit in 1960, a woman asked at a meeting in Washington, D.C., how she could encourage her husband to practice. President Ikeda responded, "It may be lonely being the only person practicing, but if you exert yourself diligently, your benefit and good fortune will extend to and be shared by your entire family. Your presence will be just like a huge umbrella, sheltering them from the rain. It is a mistake, therefore, to think that you and your family cannot become happy because no one but you practices. Offering prayers for your family members to take faith in Buddhism, in Nichiren Buddhism, so they may become happy is certainly important. But the most fundamental thing is for each of you to demonstrate the greatness of faith with your own life." Now, this is very, very important. We have to be the actual proof of the Buddhist practice before somebody will believe in you and will start chanting. If you continue to strive in faith as wives and mothers, growing as human beings and becoming sunny presences overflowing with good cheer, wisdom, warmth, and consideration, then your families will naturally come to approve of this Buddhism. Thus, to be loved and deeply trusted by your families is the first step for them gaining an understanding of the Soka Gakkai. Ultimately, our faith works to protect and benefit our loved ones and our own behavior as a human being. Now, let me share with you another experience I have. I have talked to quite a few members whose children have got problems. When I talk to them with their children, I could see that these members, they don't know how to encourage their sons. They just ask the son to chant and chant and chant, and the son's got so many questions about our practice because nowadays the young people are very educated. They will not follow you blindly. You have to explain to them what is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, why is it so powerful. Okay, so in order to help our children, we ourselves need to learn to be able to demonstrate the greatness of the law and to be able to explain to our children what is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, why is it so important, before they can really start chanting. So it's very, very important for us to change first. showing actual proof of faith through our character and way of life, and contributions at work and in the community is far more effective than simply explaining in words the merits of Buddhist practice. Actual proof is more powerful than 1 million words. Additionally, President Ikeda offers, there is no need to be impatient or in a hurry. When I first joined the Soka Gakkai, my father disapproved of my practice. It is important to start with your own human revolution and make your inner Buddhahood shine forth. It is also vital to cherish your family. Again, initially, when I asked my sister to chant, she scolded me and said, you haven't improved a bit, so don't ask me to chant, because I haven't shown her the change in my character. This is why she would not listen. Let me go on. Though he never took up faith, President Ikeda's father saw his son use his Buddhist practice to transform his life, and thus supported him with pride, developed a deep understanding of the Soka Gakkai, and had unfaltering trust in second President Jose Toda as his son's mentor in life. Instead of being discouraged when our loved ones don't understand or support our Buddhist practice, we can view these challenges as opportunities to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, work on our own inner transformation, and cultivate harmonious relationships. This is the surest path to demonstrating the greatness of Nichiren Buddhism. Alright, let me share with you an experience by Colette Binkley. It's called Saving My Son's Life with Daimoku. It's quite a good experience, so let me share with you. 31 years ago, this next December, I received a very frightening phone call from a doctor in Arkansas. He told me that if I wanted to see my son again, I'd better get on a plane as fast as I could, that he was dying. He was in a coma. At that point, they didn't know what had caused him to have such a high fever. It was 108 degrees. Normally, a person would no longer be alive at that high a fever. I called my husband at work and told him to come home immediately. We had to get on an airplane. The closest was 100 miles away, and I would tell him why as soon as we got home. I called a friend to take us because no way could either of us drive at that point. I had called the airline for an emergency reservation. They complied. When we got to the airport, they were holding the plane for us, as if it was the last one to go to our destination that day. When we got to the hospital, the nurse told me to pray that my son should die. This is what the experience says. Because if he lived, he would be a vegetable. How interesting. The nurse asked the mother to chant for the son to die. But anyway, let me go on. I told him no way I was going to lose another son. My firstborn son was killed at age 13 when crossing the street. That was 7 years ago. Before I started to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I knew I now had the power to save my son. I went to his room after calling my friends and asked that they start a Daimoku campaign for my son, Bobby. Because of what the nurse and doctor had told me, all the members got together and they sent the word out to the entire headquarters. I had the backing of the whole headquarters chanting Daimoku behind my son's illness. When I started to chant, I decided, since my son was part of me, growing from my body, that the Daimoku I was doing should be coming directly from him. I chanted as if it were him that was chanting from the depth of my body. My son was lying in the ICU bed, his body jerking from the fever, convulsing rapidly, still in a coma. I chanted, and about 2 hours later, he awoke and looked at me and said, "Hi, Mom. What are you doing here?" I was in tears. I said, "You know who I am?" He said, "Of course. I know who you are. You are my mother, silly." The nurse came in right now and told him, "Ask him anything." He said, "Mrs. Bingley, please." I again said, "Ask him anything." He started by asking my son his name, and he told him, "Bobby." He said, "Do you know where you are?" And my son replied, "Washington Medical Facility." Then the nurse asked him what day it was, and he gave him the date of the day before. The nurse said, "That's okay, young man. You have been asleep for over 15 hours, and do get some good rest now." The power of Daimoku was once again proven to me beyond my wildest beliefs. I called my friend to let her know to contact the headquarters to put the word out. Everyone spread the word in a big hurry, even though it was only 2 a.m. in the morning. I was so very thankful for my mentor, President Ikeda, all members around the entire world, for the power of the Daimoku comes together when we need it the most. I have had so many benefits from this practice of Nichiren Buddhism. I will never give up this practice. I forgot to mention that when my son awoke, he said, "Mom, I feel like I've been doing that thing you do." I said, "You have through me now. I want to hear you say it." And he said, "Nam Myoho Renge Kyo." I was in tears. No brain damage. He is now a director of a big corporation. I'm just so appreciative of this practice. Okay, now the next thing I want to share, because it's the end of the year, and it's December, right? So the next meeting will be in January. So I want to share with you something that for you to think about. The subject is things to be regretted. Until you know your present life is limited, you will continue to waste time, talent, gifts, opportunities, and eventually your life. People are not fully aware of how precious life truly is until they become seriously ill or their life is in danger. Here are 12 common regrets people have at the end of the life. The reason why I mention this is because I don't want you to fall into the traps. Number 1, the regrets. I wish I had the courage to have lived my true life, not the life others expected of me. And a lot of us just think, okay, my father wants me to do this, or he wants me to do this, so I will do this just to please them. And this is wrong. Again, to give you an experience, a young member in Sydney, she was studying in uni, and she wanted to study health education or something, something to do with health, food, and supplements. But the mother wanted her to go into something else indeed. So when she talked to me, I said, "Go with your heart." Your mother said, when you study this program, you will not be able to find jobs. But I said, if you do well and you trust the gohonzon, no matter what you study, you will be able to find a job. So she went to take the subject she liked, and right after graduation, she got a very good job from Kellogg's. And she was doing very, very well because of her subject and her knowledge in food supplements. So please, just live the life you want to live. Okay, but saying that, I don't mean that you go into drugs and do all the bad things because you want to. No, it's not that. It's the good things that you want to do for yourself. Number 2, I wish that I hadn't worked so hard. I miss the beauty of my family and the magic the world had to offer. I especially say this to the people in Hong Kong, because everybody is so busy working, busy playing. That was before the pandemic. Right after work, they go and play karaoke and drink and partying, but they never have a minute for themselves to rest or to enjoy their family life, and it's a real pity. and they cannot even hear the birds sing. So they missed a lot of beautiful things in their life just because they want to work and work and work and play and play. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings to those I loved. Yeah, a lot of people are afraid to say I love you or to say thank you. So please start doing this today. Sometimes people say, they know. But how do they know if you don't say it in words? Don't expect people to know the things that you haven't said. Just say it anyway. Say the good things and they will not hurt. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends more. Friends, good friends, are those who make you happy. So please try to stay in touch with them. This mistake is what I've missed. I don't get in touch with my friends very often, but only with members, because when I know they have problems, I would jump into their contact and help them, but not with my friends. So this is something I have to correct. Number 5, I wish I had stopped worrying. Worrying is negative praying. Now, can somebody do this without worrying? No, So please, when you start to worry, just go to the gohonzon. Instead of worrying, try to chant for the solution, for the good results, and don't worry. Oh, by the way, when I said my daughter had lost half of her blood, and then I chanted and chanted, right after that, my daughter had completely healed. And since then, she never had another stomach bleeding. She was healed. Number 6, I wish I had been more loving to the people who mattered to me most. I think a lot of us just try to be themselves or to be very rough, especially to family members. That is me also. So I'm trying to change now. I try to be more loving. So, because when I was doing business, I said, I have to put on a mask when I face my clients. Why do I have to put on another mask when I face my family members? But that was wrong. It wasn't put on a mask, but bring out your true self, your true love to your families. Okay, number 7. I wish I had taken a lot more risks. Well, when I work for Pfizer, I have learned from my boss is to take calculated risks. We are not going to take any risky risk, very risky that you will fall and then you will get bankrupt. No, but a risk that you think will give you a good result. For example, when I first started the interior design business, I wanted the business from a very popular designer. He did not give me any businesses until one day he called me and he said, Lydia, I've got a project that's got to be completed in 10 days' time. Would you be able to do it? Now, actually, what I found out later was that he had given the business to a contractor who declined the project later, and he was desperate to find somebody to finish the project for him. And at that time, I thought about a little while and said, yes, I'm going to take up this project. And I asked all my workers, and they were very cooperative, to work and overtime, even overnight. And I finished the project in 10 days. And since then, I got a lot of businesses from this designer. So a lot of times I take risks, but calculated risks that I think I will be able to go through and be successful. Number 8, I wish I had taken better care of my health. Health is wealth. Now again, this is another lesson I haven't learned before. Because when I was doing business, when I was working, I only care about my business and to make money. I didn't care about my health. And in the end, I got really, really, really sick. So sick that I could not have any energy to do anything that I wanted to. So, after I started practicing, I decided to chant for my good health. And now, I used my previous life to make money, but now I have to use the money I make to gain better health. So I hope people will learn from my mistake. I'm taking better care of my health now. I rest when I'm feeling tired, and I try to enjoy my life. Number 9, I wish I had chosen a more meaningful profession. Now, saying that, it only means that you do something that you're interested in, and not because somebody wanted you to do something. Number 10, I wish I had let myself be happier, had more fun, and ate more ice cream. Well, this is me too. I have been very, 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 very unhappy for a long, long, long time, until I started to chant to the gohonzon that I want to be happy every minute, every split second of the day, so I can pass my happiness to other people. And I can honestly tell you that I'm very happy now. Yeah, I have problems still. All right, like when I came to Hong Kong, my face has swollen up and red and itchy. I felt really, it was really bad. But I wasn't unhappy. I just chanted to get well. And that's all. And I still enjoyed my food. And I was happy despite the fact that it was very uncomfortable. Number 11, I wish I had lived my dream. Number 12, finally, I wish I hadn't taken my life and health for granted. Okay, so let me finish by saying, don't be caught with these regrets at the end of life. Let's continue to chant and practice Nichiren Buddhism in order to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life, a life without regrets. Okay, this is all that I have to share today. It might be a bit long, but I think what I've talked about will help everybody to live happily and have a successful life. Thank you very much.